Hey guys, welcome to Doing USA. We're back here today doing another project. It's that time of the year, and as you notice, I'm in my old shoes, my old holy pants, old clothes, because what we're about to do is we are going to show you how to change out your worm bed. Now, let me show you what it looks like when the worm bed is, it's time for one to be done. This worm bed is nothing but soft, mucky mess. So I'm gonna get my little trowel out of here, throw it on the ground. Now I want to show you something. When you have a worm bed, if you'll keep something flat in your worm bed, the worms will come up and they will gather under that flat piece of material. So let me show you something right here. When you open them up, those worms will be right here under that flat piece of material. But this is a very dirty job, and when it's at this point, it smells like a sewer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this out today. I'm gonna show you what you need. All you need is a container, a lid with a lip around it. If you see this lid, how it's indented, that way when it's down, the worms can't crawl up and over the lid. And you need a couple other containers to change your worm, your dirt out, so that you can actually save your worms and get rid of the old dirt. And save this old dirt. It's excellent dirt for putting in your wife's pot plants. So let's start this. I'm gonna carry this over here, and first of all, I'm gonna turn the water off. Got my handy sidekick there, Jet, and he loves water. There he goes. He hasn't seen it yet. He don't know where it's at. But this dog loves water. I think he should have been born a Labrador. But anyway, I'm gonna wash my hand off. You gotta watch him. Sometimes he will literally almost bite your hand because he's wanting to bite this water. But I just turned it on, give him a little drink. This dog, oh, he loves water. But anyway, I'm gonna turn that water off for a second. Go over what we need. Okay. So what you need in this project is, of course, a water hose and a hydrant. And if you got a dog like Jet, you need one of these so you can turn the water off while you're doing the process. Wash your hands, wipe it off, do whatever. But you don't end up having a dog that's biting your hand because he's wanting to bite the water. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my hose. I'll go ahead and put my sprayer on my hose. And you need a couple of containers. You need an empty container. This is the container that I was using, and this is all you need for a worm bed, guys. You don't have to have an old refrigerator out there in the back behind the shop that has dirt in it that is you can't hardly get out with a shovel. All you need is a couple of these styrofoam containers, and you can move it from one to the other. Now this one, see how it's got the edge around it? The lid's been broken. My son, when he decided to go fishing, he thought he was gonna need some worms. Instead of taking a few in a can, he decides to take the whole thing and falls and breaks the lid, like doing a super fly off the top ring in a wrestling match, and breaks the lid, comes back. So now I'm just using it for a way to change out my dirt. Also, I've got another thing. You're gonna need another container, but you're also gonna need some all-natural organic peat moss. This stuff is really, really good for worm beds. And I got this out of my wife's kitchen. Don't tell her. But you need something that you can strain your worms with. And if you wash it real good, it won't matter because she will never know. And then, of course, you need possibly a scoop or a little shovel. But let me show you. First thing we're gonna do before we start anything, we're gonna open up our peat moss, and whatever you don't use in your bed works really good in your flower pots. And I'm gonna put this entire bag, if I can get it open, in my container. Let me turn it around this way so it doesn't fall. But I'm not gonna put the entire thing in there at the moment, but I'm gonna probably end up putting the majority of this in there. So these peat moss bags, they hold quite a bit. This one says 33 pounds. So I want to fill up my wheelbarrow, and when I do this, turn on the water. And he's looking for it, but I put this on here. He can't find it. He knows it's here somewhere. Oh, there it goes. Oops, there it goes. Where did it go, Jet? I'm gonna watch my hands. Don't bite my fingers off. Oh, he about got me. So I'm going to fill this thing with water, and these. This peat moss is pretty lightweight, so it floats. If you have a helper like Jet, you will be able to, you'll never be alone. You'll never be lonely. So what I'm doing is I am soaking up my peat moss. I'm going to soak it up, if I don't get dog bit, until the water is about to cause it to overflow. What's that, Jet? He says, but I love it. I tell you, he should have been a Labrador. But, so I'm going to soak that up really, really, really good. And that's going to come into play here in a little while. Okay, it's really juicy, as you can see. Really juicy. Now, there's some dry spots in it, but it's floating on top of the water. Like I say, you definitely want to use old clothes when you're doing this. And this is a necessary evil that you have to do every year, or at least once a year, when you have a worm bed. So, okay, I got it done. There you go, Jet. All right. Now then, I'm going to grab over here. I'm going to grab my worm bed. And this is what's handy about putting your worms in these styrofoam cases. You can carry them inside in the wintertime, put them inside so they don't die on you. And if you look, come over here and look at the difference. This is what worm manure looks like, and that is what peat moss looks like. This looked like that about a year ago. They will grind this up, they will use it all, and they will end up getting all the nutrients out of this, and then they leave behind all of their droppings, and that's what's good for flower pots. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get our colander, a little shovel in case we need it. We're going to do something here. Just going to scoop it, and as you can see, this stuff makes really healthy worms. Really good and healthy worms, but we want to save our worms. Now, when you use one of these styrofoam buckets, they're styrofoam and they breathe. Do not use a plastic igloo or something that will not breathe, or you will kill all your worms because they'll drown. All we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hose, and we're going to wash through our worms, and we're going to get all that out. You're going to have a few worms go through the colander, but you're going to have the majority of your worms being left behind. And I don't know about you guys, but in the springtime, especially when there's lots of rain, like it is right now, and the rivers are rolling, red worms are some of the best bait out there. I know, Jet, you're okay. So what we're doing is we're just trying to get it down to where we got the majority of our worms out. We're going to take them out, and what I like to do is you can use an old ice chest to put your worms in it. That water will not hurt them. Use an old bucket. Get an old bucket just to put my worms in while I'm going through this process. Now you will end up having a few worms in here, okay? But not enough to matter and hurt your entire system. And I tell you, if you can, just pick some of them out, put them out of here if you want to. However you got to do to get your worms from one location to the other, you got to save your worms for these worm beds. So it's just like, almost like panning for gold. All we're doing is we're getting rid of some of the dirt and we're saving our worms. And if some of the worms end up in Mom's flower pot, it really won't matter. We want to save our worms. Just keep getting them out of here. And this is fun, fun, fun. And this is something I promise you, if you want your grandkids to help you, they'll probably just love it. They won't like the smell, but they'll probably like helping you, at least the first time. So, again, worms always want to congregate on the bottom. You see here, did all that. Probably lost a few, but got a few out too. So, this is another reason why you don't want a real big worm bed. You don't want to have to spend all day doing this once a year. And if you notice, we've got worms everywhere. But if you're a catfisherman, or if you like to go perch fishing and catch a perch with your worms, you'll need worms. And why go out and buy them for $2 or $3 or $4 for a dozen when you can just maintain a worm bed? They're real simple. There's lots of benefits to it for your plants and everything. Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see they're down in here. They always want to migrate to the bottom. But they are in here. You don't have to get all of the old out. It's going to be fine. It doesn't have to be 100% clean, but you do want to get the majority of your worms out. All right. Let's get another scoop. We're almost done. We're about halfway done already. At least in this size of a worm bed. Occasionally you'll just see some. Just pick them up, put them in your bucket. There's 1, 2. You can see bundles of them sometimes. So we're going to talk a little bit real quick while I'm doing this about what we feed our worms. A lot of people throw table scraps, coffee grounds, all kinds of things in their worm beds. And I have only ever used one thing in my worm beds, and that is I use chicken scratch. Go and get the non-medicated chicken scratch at the feed store, and I've got a cousin who has chickens and helps me with the eggs sometimes, so I don't have to have but about a bucket of it. So I buy 50 pounds and I give the rest to him. But chicken scratch is an excellent, excellent food. And when we get done with this, I'll show you how you actually end up doing the chicken scratch. All right. side. Let's rinse these off. There's a worm right there. Now, there are all kinds of worms, and I have several different kinds of worms in here, and I'm hoping that they interbreed. I've got some that are big. When a friend of mine gave me this worm start, he gave me a start of worms right after they had their little ones, and they were all about a 1/2 inch long. And there were those have grown now. This is probably my 5th or 6th year doing this, and they have all grown. I've got some in here that you'll see that are really pretty massive, but these are all about the right size for a worm. You might put 2 or 3 on a hook, but these are about the right size for catfishing. So these are the size that we tend to use down here around the Red River. It's about the size of the normal worms in the area. So remember, fish are gonna bite the things and bite the natural things to their environment, things that are washed in to the lakes and to the rivers and the creeks. Oops, I dropped that one in the wrong hole. They're gonna bite the things that are washed into their natural environment. So just know when you have some worms, if you have them 14, 15-inch worms, in some places you do, well then that might be the best bait. But around here in southern Oklahoma, we are literally just looking for, we're just using 3, 4, 5-inch worms at the biggest. That's about the size of the worms in this area. Black gold to the gardener. That's black gold to the gardener. All right, didn't see any more. Let's get some more. This whole process will take you 30, 35 minutes, maybe an hour. And so while I'm doing this, I'm gonna let my cameraman take a break. It's just gonna be more of the same, and we'll come back when we get to where we've got our worms separated from our old and our new, and then we'll come back. So for right now, we're signing off, but we'll be back here in just a moment for part 2.